Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at another very solid offering from QSP. This is none other than the QSP Hawk. Now, before I go any further in this review, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's go over some overall specifications on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.375 inches with a blade length at 3.25 inches and a cutting edge coming in right at 3 inches. We have a blade width of 1 inch with a blade thickness of 0.12 inches with blade steel being 14C28N, a very nice drop point style blade with a flat grind, a handle length of 4.125 inches with a handle thickness of 0.53 inches. We have a handle width of 1 inch with some very nice handle material of burlap micarta, and we will go a little more, talk a little more about that here when we get to the ergonomics section. And a tip-up right-hand only carry with a total weight coming in at 3.58 ounces and a total price of $54.98. That's actually not the total price because that's not factoring in shipping, but that is your price on Blade HQ, $54.98. Now let's take a look at some size comparisons here because this is a very nice average size knife. We'll start off with the Benchmade regular size Griptilian along with the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. As you can see, this is smaller than both knives, more so than the Paramilitary 2, but a little closer in size to the Griptilian. And next up, we have a couple more good old Made in America ones here. We've got a TRM Atom, as well as the ZT0562CF. So again, as you can see, a little smaller than both of these guys. I think this is going to be a very, very happy medium-sized carry for a lot of people. I think QSP did a very good job in sizing this one out. And one more group of size comparisons with a couple that I think will give everybody the best idea. The Civivi Elementum, and of course, you knew it had to be coming, the Benchmade Bug Out. So there you go. That's more what we're talking about in terms of length, width, size. So I think now you guys have a pretty darn good idea of what we got here. Now let's talk about this knife because QSP is continuing to impress me in some aspects of their production. We have a blade that has a negative, but it also has a lot of positives. I'm going to start off with what I really don't like about this blade, and I've had this issue in the past with QSP, and it's right there. Right there. Look at that logo. Now, I don't really have a problem with QSP's logo. I think it's kind of nice, but how hard is it to properly place a logo on a blade? When you have a logo like that that comes down on the grind and you know it's not supposed to be there, I sure hope they didn't settle for that. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it was a quality issue that didn't get caught, and they just pushed it on through. Still not a good thing. Not very happy about that. But what happens when you have this is it makes the knife look cheap. These are the kind of things that people really knock Chinese production for. Little details like this that are missed. Now, I get the fact that this is a $54.98 knife, but I also take into consideration that you have CJRB and Civivi and even Best Tech making some pretty darn good budget offerings. They're a little more than this, but in the same category that aren't making, careless mistakes like this. So I don't know how it happened. I really wish that logo. I don't have a problem with the size of the logo. The problem is you have thumb studs that are actually placed very, very nicely, but you don't have a lot of room for that. I get that. I get it. I understand it. But minimize it. Make it just a little smaller. Move it up. I don't know. Do something, because what you have right here, that just doesn't look good. Now, on the bright side, that's really the only negative thing I have to say about this blade, because there's a lot of really good things to talk about. We'll start with this screaming sharp edge. Now, I took my calipers at about 4 different spots on this blade, and right about here, you've got a reading of 10 thousandths behind the edge. Up towards the tip, you're looking more at 13 thousandths, and as you go back to the end of the blade, you're talking, 11, 12 thousandths. So it's kind of varying along, but I think you'll all agree that 10 thousandths and 13 thousandths and anything in between is going to be pretty darn sharp. So that is super impressive, and it's a very, very, very nice job of a grind on this knife. And it also has some very nice jimping along the spine and the flipper tab that is very functional, very useful jimping that we will talk about more in the handle ergonomics section. But overall, a very, very complete blade with just that one little blemish there. They also have some thumb studs that we'll talk about a little more when we get to the action, because the thumb studs are placed perfectly. They're a little bigger than normal thumb studs, but I don't have a problem with that one bit, because they work really, really, really darn well. And yeah, like I said, just a very nice blade shape in general. Just nothing crazy. Could maybe, a swedge up top might make it look a little more attractive and take a little weight out, but it doesn't really need any weight taken out. Just a very solid blade altogether. And going into the handle and ergos of this guy, the ergos are decent. They're really not bad, but I noticed something with the ramp of this pocket clip that, for me, it's a bit of a hot spot, and I didn't know why, because let me grab another knife here real quick. We have, right here, we have the QSP Gannet, and on this Gannet, you'll notice that the clip, it's the exact same clip. Exact same clip on this guy. Now, on the Gannet, the clip doesn't bother me really at all. I mean, I feel the clip, but it's not poking my hand quite like it is on this Shark. And the reason, or the Hawk, I'm sorry, the Hawk, the reason I say that is because when you hold it, you kind of have this area up here that's kind of keeping your hand in place. It's keeping it down there, as to where on the Gannet, it's much more easy to put your hand really wherever you want, and it kind of helps eliminate the poking from that clip. So if I had to hold it down here all the time, I probably would feel that clip poking my hand, but since I move up, it's just not as bad for me. I don't feel it as much. On the handle of this knife, I do feel it a little more. So it is a little bit of a hot spot there. Not the best, but again, it's not... I don't know if it'd be giving me blisters or any real problems, but I do feel it, and I think other people would consider it a hot spot, so I had to point that out. Another thing that is very nice with the ergos of this knife, though, are the jimping. As I mentioned when I was talking about the blade, you have jimping up here, and then you also have jimping down here, and that allows you to give a very good, secure... I mentioned this with the Finch Tacuna mid last year when I reviewed that. It just lets you really grip it hard, bear down. Now, you feel this jimping here on your finger. It's not something you're going to want to do repetitively over and over for hard cutting tasks, because it would start to wear on your finger. But it does give you that option to get just a really good, solid grip for, detail work, or just to really power through a cut. It's really nice having those, and I've started to like that more and more on knives, even if I don't use it all the time. It's a really nice option to have if you find yourself in that situation. Now, the highlight of these handles is right here. This micarta is probably the best micarta I have ever seen on a knife in this price range. To me, it's perfect. It has a very good, tacky feel to it. A good grip to it, not slippery, it doesn't feel like it's, falling apart or deteriorating, just very nice. It gives it a really good kind of a 3D burlap look, to where you can kind of see within the resin and see deeper into the micarta. That's one of the reasons I've always liked micarta, was I always thought it just looked really good. Now, as you can see with the light shining off it, you kind of have some imperfections along the top. That's kind of just the nature of micarta. And to be honest, it really, in my opinion, it helps with the grip of the knife. And it doesn't look bad, because how many times are you going to be looking at it like this, shining it in light? Because, again, that's just, it's part of it. You have the cross weave. I like it. I really like it, and I couldn't be happier with this micarta. I just really wish that this micarta was cut the same way and put on my Gannet, because, like I said, I don't like the micarta on this Gannet, but this here... This is some very, very, very nice micarta. I think just about everybody would agree, especially if you like the burlap style. Just gives it a very good look overall. A nice kind of I don't know if vintage is the right word, but just a very good handle material, and I find it really, really attractive. And there is one glaring problem with this handle, though, and that is these liners, these proud liners. I don't know why they did this. So you have the proud liners, they're sticking up. The micarta gives you a great grip on the handle. The jimping up here gives you a great grip on the knife in general and control of the blade. But then this stuff up here, it is very slippery. I mean, they have this high satin finish on it, which I don't necessarily hate, but it just makes it definitely takes away some grip of the knife. Do I still get a good grip on this knife? Yes. I feel the jimping, the micarta bites my hand, grips my hand really well, but this up here is just way too slippery. Way too slippery. I wish one of two things. I wish these would have been inset liners within the micarta, or the liners just came flush with the end of the micarta handles. Either one I'd have been fine with, but as it is right now, there's just a very slippery aspect to this knife, to where even though it does have its really good grip points throughout the knife and handle, it doesn't have it on a very important spot, because when you're holding it like this, your thumb is just really sliding. To me, that's a pretty big issue. Now, would I worry about the knife coming out of my hand while I'm using it? Not so much that. I'm more worried about pulling the knife out of my pocket, holding it just casually, and dropping it because my hand catches a slippery point along these liners. I'm more concerned about that. I think you do have a safe grip in hand when you're using and working with the knife. I'm not too worried about that. I also have a very strong grip. So someone with arthritis or a weaker grip, you may have some issues with this, and that's something to consider. And it's a shame, because altogether, I'll wait till I get to my overall thoughts, but what could have been here? What could have been? It could have been a lot better. What is great, though, and doesn't really need any improvement, is the action on this knife. The action is on point in pretty much every way. Middle finger flick, thumb flick, and of course, you guys have already seen me flip it. You can even turn it upside down and do that number, which I'm not very good at, and I can nail that pretty good here. I'll try not to hit the mat this time, but yeah, it's a very fun fidget knife because the action is fantastic. The detent is pretty much on point. Maybe use just a little. It could be a little harder, a little stronger of a detent, but it's not enough for me to really definitively say it does need it, because if it had a stronger detent, I don't know how easy that would be, and that's pretty darn fun. I can't do that on a lot of knives, and I really enjoy doing that. The flipper again, but yeah, for me, I definitely prefer the Spidey flick on this. It's a very, very fun knife to fidget with, and it just it really checks a lot of boxes for me. It's fidgety. Everything's placed in the right spot. Overall thoughts are really, really good on this. If we could have just figured fix the layout of this logo and knock these liners down to be flush with the scales, I wouldn't just have a very good knife. I would have one of my all-time favorite budget EDCs, because I really do like this that much. QSP is doing an excellent job with grinding their blades, also keeping close attention to blade centering, which has been an issue for me in the past with QSP. They've really been executing a lot of things really, really well. These thumb studs, also in regards to the action, they stick out a little more. They're a little bigger than other thumb studs, but God, they work so good. They work so good, and they allow your finger to effortlessly catch it and not miss it. One of a big factor in why this is such a fidgety knife, and just very, very fun to play with. So with all that being said, I'm still going to give this knife 2 thumbs up and say it's great. But man, if they could just change those 2 things, that logo placement, and especially these slippery liners, if they could correct that, you would have an absolute home run here that, in my opinion, would give the Elementum a lot of competition. I would take this over the Elementum all day, actually. Even as is, I would still take this over the Elementum all day, and I truly mean that. But I really wish they'd knock those liners down. But that's the QSP Hawk. Very, very solid offering from QSP. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else they have in the future. Really been impressing me lately. So let me know what you guys think. How many other QSPs have you had? Have you had the Hawk? This is actually kind of a second run that's a little bit more of a budget price range with a little, still a great 14C28N steel, but not the S35 or S30 that the original model came out in. Let me know what you guys think of this, and I would highly recommend, if you like this micarta and if you like the looks of it, grab them while you can, because I think this is going to be a really good seller for them. They have a lot of options. So that's it. Let me know, guys. Let me know what you think. I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment selection and respond to all of you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.